Another segment for the learning series. This one I want to talk about a drill that I think has a lot of value. So first of all, we're still in when I'm filming this, it's still in the colder time of the year, at least for us northern hemisphere folks. And if you have track tires or Q3s, Q4s on your bike, understand that they need higher operating temperature than you're probably getting if you're in a colder climate. So please be careful out there. There's a drill that I particularly think is useful for people who are used to riding twisties. And if you've seen one of my other segments, I'll call three different types of lines for the twisties. You have the race lines, which are going in deep, pulling the bike over, strafing the apex, and then working towards the exit. You kind of have to know the road in order to do that, because otherwise, how do you know where your turn-in is to hit your apex? And then you're going to be making multiple inputs per turn, which is not something you want to do. So the other option is contour. Follow the contour of the road. So you're almost making a consistent arc with the yellow line that goes down the center. You're making a consistent arc, albeit over to the side, with that line. Very consistent. So the further you get to the right side of a right turn, you're making a much sharper turn. The further you get to the left side of the lane, you're making a shallower turn. And you can ride side by side with that. That's what the police officers do. They ride side by side on the twisties, literally side by side. I do it staggered. They do it side by side. So think about the skill that's going on. So the drill I'm going to have you do is not super difficult, but it does take some caution. You do need to back out of it sometimes because it's mentally demanding, and you don't want to make a mistake doing this, right? But here's what I want you to do. Consider the environment. It should be a road that you're familiar with. Make sure it's clean. There's not a lot of debris on it because you won't have as much margin for error. Ride on the right side of the road for a period of time and try to stay on the right half of the right third. Okay. So you're, in other words, you're in the rightmost 1/6 of the road. So you're going to back your speed way, way down. Now, be very generous with yourself in terms of bailing out of the drill and going to the fat part of the road when you need to. The point is to get used to riding that side and then do the same thing on the other. Now, obviously, when cars are coming, because you're going to be near the yellow line, uh, when cars are coming, of course, I'm speaking from the U.S. where we ride on the right side. When cars are coming, get away from the yellow line. I mean, don't let's be smart about this thing. The point is, you want to start learning how to stay with the contour of the road, and one of the things you can do with that is use micro counter steering movements to start building in that muscle memory, so you don't have to think about turn a little to the left to go a little to lean a little bit to the right. And then you can use other ways to lean the bike. You can use your feet, you can use body steering, things like that. By the way, you'll also learn that once the bike is leaned over, it's actually easier to make it lean over more without counter steering. So when it's straight up and down, it takes more effort to get the bike to lean. But once it's leaning, because the front wheel is dipped into the inside of the turn, and there's a thing called gyroscopic precession, which is sort of helping the front wheel turn more that way, uh, that is going to make it easier for you to tighten the turn. Widening the arc, you're almost always going to dip the handlebars in a little bit to make the bike stand up. But that's a great drill for you to do. And then the other line that I didn't talk about is what I'll call a hybrid, where it's sort of between the contour and the race lines, and you're endeavoring to straighten out the turn. So you're going from the right side to the left side. And most people a lot of people ride the twisties like that, and they're really not challenging themselves when it comes to turning. Race lines, you're going to do the most amount of turning, right? That's where you're going to use the most amount of lean angle when you make that turn. Contour of the road lines, you're not using that much lean angle because the roads are just not designed such that you're going to be using all that lean angle for the most part. There's always exceptions, and you go fast enough. And I've seen guys on Angeles Crest Highway obviously doing that. But it's a good drill for you to use, and then start thinking about which lines you're going to use for what environments and why. All right, be safe out there. Take it easy on these drills.